In this video, we will learn what happens when mergers, takeovers, or similar changes happen to your company. So this is the guidance from 9th April 2025. And if we click on C4, we will be able to see mergers, takeover, and similar changes. So it's about TUPE. So what is TUPE? TUPE is Transfer of Undertaking, Protections of Employment, Regulations 2006. So we will discuss in this video general principles. Then after that, we will discuss what TUPE or similar protection is. Then what this means for sponsored workers. So if you're working on a skilled worker visa and your company or another company has taken over your company where you initially got sponsored from, then what this means for you. What this means for sponsor. So for example, your employers, what they need to do. What processes they need to follow. Complete takeover and mergers. So we will discuss that in this video. Then we will discuss partial takeover and demergers. Then after that, we will discuss if you no longer have any sponsored workers. Then later on, we will discuss if you still have sponsored workers. We will also discuss if you are a new sponsor. We will also see the examples. So for example, these examples are provided from the gov.uk, a takeover when the new owner already has a license. So we will discuss this example. We will also discuss a takeover when the new owner does not have a license. Third example, we will discuss a partial takeover when the new owner already has a license. Fourth example, a takeover but the change is one removed from the sponsor. Fifth example is a takeover when the overall owner remains the same but the immediate owner changes. Later on in this video, we will also answer to the questions like duty to notify of organizational change, how will a corporate restructure impact my sponsored license, acquiring sponsored migrants under a TUPE transfer, impact of restructure on sponsored migrant leave, prevention of illegal working obligations, practical steps for HR team to ensure compliance. And in the last, we will answer the question, can I continue to sponsor workers if my company changes its name? So without wasting time, let's start. So section C4, mergers, takeovers, and similar changes. This section tells you what action you must take if your organization is involved in a change of ownership, merger, takeover, demerger, or similar changes, including if you lose or accept sponsored workers under TUPE or similar protection. So there are 5 general principles. Let's discuss them one by one. C4.1. Your sponsored license is not transferable, and what happens to you and your sponsored worker will depend on whether there is a change in direct ownership, you sell all or part or the controlling number of shares in your organization, you are partly or wholly taken over by another organization, you are splitting out to form new organizations. C4.2. Your level 1 user must report any of the above changes via your sponsorship management system account within no more than 20 working days of the change taking place. If you fail to do so, we may downgrade or revoke your license. If we revoke your license, any workers sponsored by you may have their permission cancelled. C4.3. If your level 1 user is not available because you have been taken over or merged into another organization, we will accept the report from level 1 user at the new sponsor organization. C4.4. Once you have reported the change, we will ask for and verify documents to support the change. These may be document listed in Appendix A of the sponsor guidance. Watch this video in which I have discussed the Appendix A sponsor guidance completely. Or we may ask for documents other than those in Appendix A, depending on the circumstances. C4.5. Where there is a change in direct ownership of your organization or business. For example, if it is sold as a going concern or a share sale result in the controlling number of shares being transferred to a new owner, your sponsored license will either be revoked, or if sponsored workers have transferred to another sponsored license made dormant, the new owner must then apply for a new sponsored license if they don't already have one, if they wish to continue employing any workers you were sponsoring. Now let's discuss TUPE or similar protection, C4.6. When a business changes owner or another business take over part of it or services it provide, its employees may be protected under transfer of undertaking, protection of employment. Like I said, TUPE stands for transfer of undertaking, protection of employment. In general terms, TUPE protection means that the employee's job transfer to the new company and their terms and condition of the employment remain the same. So you can find more details on gov.uk about TUPE. I'll put this link in the description. Business transfers, takeover, and TUPE. So this is the complete guidance where you can read about all these rules. But today we are trying to understand what it means for the skilled worker visa employees, what it means for the sponsor license. Further, it says where TUPE does not apply. For example, staff working in public sector employees may benefit from similar protection to TUPE. That's the different. For example, if you're working for council or other these stuff, so I'll leave that. I'll jump to this section where it says what this means for sponsored workers. C4.10, workers who change employer under TUPE or similar protection do not need to make a new application for permission, and the new sponsor does not have to assign a new certificate of sponsor to workers provided the new sponsor has a valid sponsor license in the relevant route and has confirmed that it accepts responsibility for the workers, and the workers' duties remain unchanged. So for example, if your duties are getting changed or your job title is changing or your job code is changing, then the rules are different. Then you need to assign new CUS. What this mean for you in terms of the sponsor? Now let's discuss that. C4.11. If a sponsored worker move to you under TUPE or similar protection and you have already have the appropriate sponsor license, you will from the date of the move take up full responsibility for them as their new sponsor and must meet all of the associated duties set out in the guidance. You must confirm that you will take responsibility for them via your sponsorship management system account. C4.12, where workers are being moved to you under TUPE or similar protection, but you do not already have a sponsor license under the route needed to sponsor them, you must make either application for sponsor license or apply to extend the scope of your existing sponsor license. Your application must be made within 20 working days of the move taking place. C4.13, if you do not make a valid application within 20 working days or do not make a valid application but that application is refused, all of the workers who move to you except any who can be sponsored under your existing license if you have one will have their permission cancelled. Now let's discuss processes you must follow. According to the guidance, complete takeover and mergers. In that case, if you are completely taken over or merged into another organization and your sponsored workers are moving to new organization, you must 1, 2, 3. So number 1 is report the change via your SMS account, including details of all your sponsored workers who will be moving to the new organization. You must make the report within 20 working days of the change. Number 2, use the report migrant activity function on the SMS to report if any of your sponsored workers are moving to the new sponsor. These workers' permission will be cancelled. Confirm if you need to surrender your sponsor license. This can be done using your SMS account if you no longer have level 1 user with SMS access. The change of circumstances form. Now let's discuss C4.15. If you have completely taken over or merged with another sponsored organization and their sponsored workers are moving to you, in that case, there are 1, 2, 3, 4. Number 1, you must make a valid application for a sponsor license or apply to extend the scope of your existing license. If you do not already hold the relevant license, within 20 working days of the date they move to you. Number 2, can use the SMS to apply for increase in your allocation of your certificate of sponsorship if you already have a sponsor license. And change means you may need to recruit more workers in the future. So for example, you already hold a sponsor license, you just need to request allocation. Number 3, you must report the change via SMS, including details of any workers you have accepted sponsorship responsibility for. If you already have a sponsor license, you must make the report within 20 working days of the change taking place. Number 5, must request to make the previous sponsor license dormant. C4.16 says we can give you limited access to the previous sponsor license on the SMS so that you can report activity for those workers' employment has transferred to you. Now let's discuss these things by examples. Example 1, a takeover when the new owner already has a license. These examples are provided by gov.uk, the only genuine website, the only website where I get my content from. Company A is a licensed skilled worker sponsor. Company A is taken over by Company B. Company B is a licensed skilled worker sponsor. All of Company A's worker move to Company B with TUPE protection. Both sponsor must report this change to us within 20 working days of the takeover. Company A must confirm to us the details of the sponsored workers that are moving to Company B and that they are content to have their sponsor license dormant. Company B must confirm that they are taking full responsibility of any sponsorship workers moving to them from Company A and provide the supporting evidence. We will make Company A's sponsor license dormant. We will grant Company B limited access to Company A's license records sufficient for them to able to report against the sponsored workers who have transferred to them. Now let's discuss example 2, a taken over when the new owner does not have a license. Company A is licensed skilled worker sponsor. Company A is taken over by Company B. Company B is not licensed sponsor. All of the Company A's worker move to Company B with TUPE. Company A must report this change to us within 20 working days of the takeover. Company A must confirm the details of their sponsored workers moving to Company B and confirm that they are content to have their license made dormant. Company B must make an application for a sponsor license within 20 working days of the takeover. Once their license is granted, Company B must confirm with us that they are taking full responsibility for any workers moving from Company A with the supporting evidence. We will make Company A's sponsor license dormant and grant limited access to it to Company B, sufficient for them to be able to report against the sponsored workers who have transferred to them. If Company B is unable to make a successful license application, the sponsored workers' permission will be cancelled. Now let's discuss quickly what documents they can request. So they can request evidence of the sale or purchase such as a letter from the practicing solicitor or notary or an affidavit signed by one of the partners or senior executive at the relevant sponsor. They can also ask employment contracts confirming that sponsored workers' employment is maintained and working arrangements are unchanged as per each migrant worker's COS. A certificate copy of the purchased agreement an original or certified copy of the TUPE agreement or contract affecting the transfer of sponsored workers' employment. They can also ask a signed letter from the sponsor's authorizing officer confirming that are assuming full sponsorship responsibility for the transferred sponsored workers. Now let's discuss the impact. So sponsored migrants involved in mergers, demergers or takeover. So for example, if you hold skilled worker visa, you do not need to submit a new visa application and the new sponsor does not have to assign new CUS. The only exception is where the move involves the migrant changing their job or the migrant does not have due or similar protection. So if you have TUPE protection, obviously, because you're working for a limited company and the company which will take over, they will also send you an email that this is under TUPE. Then in that case, you do not need to apply for new skilled worker visa application. If appropriate reports are not submitted and where required, a new sponsored license is not made. In that case, sponsored migrants may have to leave reduced to 60 days. You usually get an email that you have 60 days either to switch or to leave the UK. So remember, whenever these things happens, don't sit back and think that the company's responsibility to look after you. Remember, you are a migrant worker. They can ask you to leave, or if even if they don't do anything, it will impact you because from home office you will get a letter that they haven't requested for sponsored license. They don't have sponsored license. You don't have leave to remain and you have to leave the UK. So make sure you apply skilled worker visa as soon as possible. If they're not planning to do their job right, so make sure they report in 20 days. They get the confirmation from HR, get the confirmation in email, like, in writing. So that because sometime I have seen that the new company, which was meant, the previous company said that they will give you this, like they will sort that out. It's not our problem. The new company HR manager was not bothered. He was not willing to take over new employees and he didn't do anything. And then eventually the impact was on the skilled worker visa employees. So make sure you do that.